the $300 minimum 44 variant. I always have a hard time saying $300 minimum 44 variant. I don't know why I always have a hard time. But still, it is time for the finals here of February 15th's version of the $300 minimum 44 variant. I think I said it fast enough. It is finals time, like I said, taking place between GGEA Blue and Enigma6. These two have obviously had a number of different battles to find themselves all the way here. We got to witness the guys on GGEA Blue have a very easy time taking down the guys on Isle of Unicorns. Guys like Dilly, Monks really struggled when it came down to the respawns versus a team like this. And we got to watch the guys on Enigma6 play in their last series. That was the semifinal. They had a pretty easy time taking the guys on TRATL. However, I say that both with a little bit of an issue in saying search and destroy. Both these teams lost their search and destroy matchups versus, in some cases, a better search and destroy team a team who practices search and destroy pretty much solely. But still, though, both their kind of respawns have not had any issues. Their hardpoints, both, I think, the GGA Blue only allowed 103 seconds. Enigma6 only allowed 111 seconds. Of course, different maps. It was Arden Forest compared to St. Marie-du-Mont, and we're playing on London Docks. So a lot different when it kind of comes down to the overall landscape as far as the series is considered. And if you guys are interested as well, Hardpoint number 1, of course, will be on London Docks. Map number 2 will be Search and Destroy on Arden Forest. And if it does come down to a map number 3, it will be CTF on Flak Tower. So very interesting kind of last CTF. For the most part, this isn't a map that's visited that often. Kind of over time, as far as the map vetoes and whatnot, has kind of been granted more and more. Kind of players not wanting to play London Docks as often. Of course, Arden Forest played pretty much every single time. But from time to time, Flat Tower can definitely sneak in. It's fair to say, especially if you're playing like a squad like Team Caliber, who literally is amazing in Arden Forest. So with that underway, kind of talk about the mapscape as far as like how both these teams have got here. I think it's only fair that we actually talk about the teams themselves, right? We talk about the guys on GGA Blue. This team actually ends up finishing, I believe, 8th, which is kind of unfortunate, in the national circuit, and finishing in last place, and then getting those kind of 4 qualification spots. I think their only victory came with beating Complexity, if my mind serves me correct, which everyone was expecting that to be kind of a top-level team. They end up taking them down, but can't really see much more victories than that. Of course, the roster of GGA Blue consisting of Johnny, Stamino, Invader, and SupremeAgility. And when we talk about the guys on Enigma6, they also were actually front enough in the U.S. national circuit, to no one's surprise. And Enigma6 actually ended up finishing 4th, so earning that qualification spot. Of course, everyone desperately trying to get in Season 2, of course, of the GPL. And whenever both these teams actually matched up for the U.S. national circuit, it was the guys in Enigma6 who actually took this series in a hot 3-0. So a lot kind of coming into this. We talked about both these teams' prior matchups. Like I said, let's talk about the players a little bit, though. When I'm looking kind of down the overall kind of 4 for each squad, to me there's immediate matchups that are kind of picking up across the map, or kind of picking up across the overall paper right now. SupremeAgility versus aBezy. Both these guys dominant when it comes down to slang and respawns, which is kind of surprising, but our search and destroy masterminds. Both these guys are guys that you're looking at to kind of dominate search and destroy, both like the PPSH kind of in their hands. We take a look at the kind of main assault rifle role. It's going to be Johnny from GGA Blue and General from Enigma6. Both these guys have kind of rocked the solid AR for their entire career. They're used to kind of, for the most part, knowing how to anchor spawns. I think this is kind of their first kind of boots in the ground title where they're both having to kind of anchor, and that should obviously play very interesting. We talk about Stamino and Invader, Diabolic and Sitter. Both guys, are kind of all 4 of those players in general, 2 for each side, kind of having to play the mixture, kind of some support, some of the kind of late flanking roles, the kind of clutching up we have to do in search and destroy. It's set to be a very interesting final, to say the least, as both these teams will rematch each other. After, like I said, a hot 3-0 was granted in the U.S. national circuit toward the side of Enigma6, but who will get the last laugh? Will it be E6, or can GGA Blue get their revenge? Well, of course, starting things off here on London Docks, Statue Hardpoint, first 11 going the way of E6 off the start, as PPSH's galore off the break. Rotation now starting to kind of fade into everyone's minds. That's kind of toward that lower street area. Looks like the spawn's currently going to be in favor of the guys right now on GGEA Blue, as it looks like Flank's starting to come forward. Diabolic actually in a very important position to watch through Clo Room. He has a number of different opportunities to kind of pick these players off the spawn, but has to be wary of where these spawns can come forward to. Does take out one there onto Johnny. And so with that, General here to try to pick up the pace, is able to drop one, but it looks like the kind of flooding coming in from GGA Blue could be too great. Diabolic trying to enter in. Cinder is still inside of the hard point. aBezy just outside. So kind of a 3v3 battle. Looks like Johnny takes out 2. Cinder there to respawn. A lot of valuable seconds going either which way, but Diabolic gets greeted with an 8 from the flank. Off the break, Diabolic finds 2. Stamino is there to equal out the kind of team fight that comes forward. Johnny gets the better of General in that situation, so last 15 seconds will go the way of GGEA Blue, but to no avail. A very heavily contested fight, and as we swap kind of back and forth from the kind of scattered hills, ones that can easily go either which way, we now kind of start to solidify ourselves in the money hills. Doc's Warehouse, over time, as far as World War II, kind of being brought up as, in some cases, the money hill for this map. You can grab a lot of free seconds, a lot of easy time debating on how you get your enemy to spawn, whether it's on that lower Doc's Warehouse side or in the opposite end toward back barrels. But it looks like our early engagement off the start. E6 did have the advantage. SupremeAgility going for the fast rush as we discuss kind of the S&D, SMG players, both aBezy and SupremeAgility. Both guys ones to be looking out for, as right now SupremeAgility most kills between those two. Nice reaction actually coming in from Diabolic. He only actually turned on Envader there. Just a few more bullets could have changed things up, but 13 seconds left inside a warehouse, and for the most part, it was really the guys from E6 who held the early seconds, but GGEA Blue had no problem breaking back in. Watching the flank is General being very wary of those spawns. This is going to be a very interesting battle along with the SMGs, along with the role players, is that AR battle. It's the battle for the spawns, and right now while General's trying to hold the back lines, it's aBezy who's trying to hold the front lines. Thankfully, his teammate Cinder is there to pick up the pace. I believe General is still alive in the back lines, but Envader is here to try and challenge. Finds 1, finds 2 on a 3 spree right now. Definitely sneaking potentially toward those streaks, and Cinder reveals his body. That's an easy challenge there from SupremeAgility. Fantastic lineup coming in from the boys on GGEA Blue, as locking down a majority of the time in Doc's Warehouse and trying to get a majority of those crucial seconds inside a barrel building. It looks like the SMGs of Diabolic and aBezy will come forward. And with 1 hill remaining, it looks like both teams, heavily contested, can both line up. Yes! 2 found for SupremeAgility, just trying to enter back toward inside a fire. But I love that play coming in from Envader. Toward the end of that barrel building hill, he realized if he found at least 1 kill, he could guarantee himself kind of that free plus 100 from being inside of the hardpoint. He does, along with finding the extra score bonus that you take with kind of retaking over the hardpoint, but also finding kills inside of the hill as well, and earn himself some streaks, which actually could be very viable when it comes down to the current hardpoint. Inside of Doc's Crane, we'll see if they'll start to come forward, if they'll try to hold on to those for now. Is not with the current hill control for his squad, but here comes, I believe, the mortar strike for a few seconds. Doesn't do any damage as far as the kill feed is considered, but looking on, Stamino on the flank, ends up dropping 1, but it looks like aBezy is there to try to stop the bleeding for the most part. As the first rotations will start to come to an ending. It's not much of a scoring differential, to say the least. About 8 seconds separates both of these squads. As toward the latter part, it will be Enigma6 who currently has the advantage right now. And I'm just kind of taking it, like, when it kind of comes down to solo casting, really what you're trying to do, and I'm not trying to obviously explain this, but really what you're really trying to do is just trying to gain some information, kind of call out what you're seeing, but trying to explain the strategies for both these teams. And it's kind of funny because they're really playing so similar that it absolutely, appears when it comes down to the score of this match, right? It's only about a, 4 or 5 second difference. Both these teams, as far as the assault rifles, are playing similar, both General and Johnny. The SMGs of like Diabolic and aBezy and co kind of facing off against Envader and SupremeAgility. I mean, pretty much we're seeing kind of standard play being brought up from both these squads, but really what's going to be the difference is kind of finding those kills in quick succession and those very crucial rotations. You see the nice trigger discipline coming in from Johnny. Is yet again another big 1v1 battle. This time General will win it. However, the majority of the kills not going Enigma6's way. So for now, General trying to hold this position, trying to wait for a few of his teammates to join alongside of him. Is doing the damage necessary. General on a 4 spree. He's currently sitting at 21 and 12. aBezy Able to find the headshot onto Envader, so just like that, Enigma6 have taken over Main Street. And they're making it look easy. Needing to get inside of that hardpoint, though. The kills are nice, but the time is what wins you the game. It's what wins you a series. And it looks like the ARs are coming out from time to time. Of course, General, like I said, currently sitting at 21-13, but not far behind is Diabolic, 22-17 actually, as he's finding himself on a 3 spree. The slang, well, it does start to kind of set its pace. The scoreline still looks exactly the same. 12 seconds separating both these teams. The last few seconds going the way of Enigma6. But we talk about Doc's Warehouse, how important it is to lock down this hill. GGEA Blue on the first set of rotations did a fantastic job at locking this particular hardpoint down, as they've got the rotations under their way. Big fights like this for Stamino, kind of watching over your lanes and having that top mid control is very important. But it looks like Johnny and Envader able to find a few. General and Sender on the opposite end doing the work through mid-map, just trying to have an opportunity to enter inside of the hardpoint, not having any success as of yet. Nice play from Johnny and SupremeAgility kind of back up, but it looks like Sender and aBezy combined for 3. Johnny last inside of the hardpoint, so Hill will be broke. And while it did take them quite a bit of time, at least they didn't give away an entire hardpoint to the opposition. When we talk, like I said, talk about Doc's Warehouse, how important it is. And a lot with holding Doc's Warehouse, it's really about the spawns, right? Because not far away is Barrel Building. It's about a stone toss away, really, is all it is. Just a few steps, and you find yourself inside of the next hard point. So a Sender grabs the scrap seconds. We look on as Diabolic, his teammate for many years, many titles, doing work inside of barrels. aBezy, one of the younger players, of course, probably getting a lot of experience when it comes down to a roster of this caliber, when it comes down to a lineup like this. And like I said, he played for Wild Card at one of the earlier events this year, whether I think it was NOLA, I want to say, but could have been Dallas. Always nice to see him kind of getting probably a lot of veteran leadership and trying to increase his game. He's currently right now -2, but doing some work when it comes down to the overall scheme of things. What's great about the barrels, you can actually shoot through them. A lot of opportunities to take some heads down, but it looks like it is a current advantage right now for the guys on Enigma6. Rotation getting ready to come forward toward this side. Doc's Crane. And Johnny holding a very important position just inside of middle. Does end up getting dropped, and just like that, SupremeAgility trying to pick up the pace. At the same time, Envader does take down 2, so 3 fall. However, keep in mind those spawns just toward the right of Envader. They're spawning inside of backfire. And so while the kills are coming forward, they have to be very wary of where E6 are coming from. And just like that, despite the early slang advantage, it's E6 who hold on to those spawns and still are getting the time. The body stacking, due to having those spawns in their favor, is really all that you could talk about. And Envader, I'm not sure if those streaks have been earned at a latter part in this game, but I talked about how he earned those very early in this match, finally using them on the third set of rotations now. Coming into great use, but only for a short time. As Sender and Co. locking down very early parts of the map. Doc's Crane, not going to be the ending of this hard point, but it's going to be incredibly close. And so what can GGEA Blue try to pull off now, as it looks like Sender able to drop one, cannot find the second. And now Diabolic coming from the skies has earned quite a few streaks. Has got those in his back pocket, takes down half the opposition. With only 14 seconds left for E6 to grab, it's going to be a very tall mountain to climb. If you are on the side of GGEA Blue, and the streaks are not ending anytime. In a short pace, as Diabolic quickly getting out of that streak, does take out one there onto SupremeAgility. And just like that, the nails in the coffin starting to get hammered in, as this one will come to a close here shortly. 1 second left, final player found, and GG's for map 1, as it will be a 250 to 185 ending score that does go the way of E6, despite the kind of early battles that went on through this game. It was honestly just fun to watch, right? We talked about the matchups that were kind of taking place, the kind of big 1v1 fights that we saw coming in from Johnny in general, kind of deciding whether or not he would kind of get spawn control for the most part, but it was really kind of the ending of this game. We talked about the rotation coming from Doc's warehouse into barrel building, a lot of that time kind of being won from the side of Enigma6, and we kind of take a look at the outliers for this match. If we can actually go quickly to the scoreboard if we could really fast. I want to kind of bring up something. We take a look at general, right? 31 and 24, most kills besides Diabolic on his team, along with 2 minutes in the hill. We take a look at Johnny, similar hill time, not too far off, but 18 and 28. That is a major difference maker that really kind of solidifies this series for me, was the factor of kind of the main assault rifle kind of walking throughout this map. A lot of times based on, especially World War II and in prior kind of respawn game modes, based off of how your AR plays is kind of a lot of the time how your sub plays, because it's kind of early sub pressure that kind of grants you the spawns, but it's also the assault rifles kind of holding the back lines, making sure that you have that spawn control throughout the rest of a hard point. So while we do kind of discuss that, I think it's very important to mention the kind of difference that we see, the major outlier that we see between both General and Johnny, making a major difference maker when it kind of comes down to things. But we're going to take a look here at the overall scheme of how the hard points kind of were awarded, how the seconds obviously did go, and of course a few hard points kind of to take note of. The final two, both barrels and crane, majority of that time going the way of Enigma6, as kind of the first two hills kind of back and forth, not too much of a difference when it kind of comes down to things, but we talk about that rotation from barrels into crane, and that's a pretty big difference maker when you kind of look at the overall kind of landscape of that map. Barrels is on one side, crane is on the other, so it was just a matter of maybe one cut not being watched, some big gunfights that were going the way of Enigma6 that really kind of changed the tide of being able to make that quick rotation toward the other side of the map. Someone was doing a job, and I'm not sure if it was General at a certain moment, or if it was aBezy's kind of SMG play, or the role players kind of filling the roles that they needed to. But in general, what started off as a very, very close match obviously ended out in what is kind of a dominant victory in the overall scheme of things, as Enigma6 now find themselves at a 1-0 advantage in this series, and now getting ready to head into some Search and Destroy on Arden Forest. We talk about the Search and Destroy players, the guys who kind of prefer this game mode as far as the other ones. We got to be looking at the guys like SupremeAgility along with aBezy. I think for the most part, when it comes down to a guy who means the most to the team, I would say SupremeAgility is probably more important to a group like GGEA Blue than aBezy is to Enigma6. Both, of course, preferred in the Search and Destroy game, and that's what they're used to. But SupremeAgility does a lot for this team. At times he used to carry the objective for this group, if I remember correctly. He's a lot of the times putting up big numbers. And I want to say in their matchup in Search and Destroy, when they ended up losing to I Love Unicorns in the quarterfinals, I want to say that he had like 10 kills by like round 7, despite them not even winning that game. So he was playing very, very solid despite his team's kind of lack of success, his team's lack of kind of presence on that map. He was still having a phenomenal performance. So very curious to see how Search and Destroy on Arden Forest does play out. Not surprised that we see Enigma6 obviously win this first map, this kind of first respawn, but I'm very interested to see how far this can really go, because if like GGA Blue, they have the potential, they have the opportunity. But like we said, we discussed and we've talked about in the past, the U.S. National Circuit matchup that went between these two, it was a hot 3-0 in favor of Enigma6. But GGA Blue, they're out for blood. They want to get that revenge back on their side and finally have the last lap between this rivalry that these two probably possess between each other, with the number of different roles and matchups that obviously have seen themselves kind of face off with one another. So like I said, map number 2, Arden Forest, will come up shortly. Of course, we're going to head to a quick commercial break. Of course, take a place here on February 15th. It's our finals. Here, of course, take a place between GGEA Blue and Enigma6. Map number 2, and potentially the final map of tonight's tournament, currently going underway, as it was Enigma6 who took map number 1, Hardpoint on London Docks, 250 to 185. And are now trying to close things out here. They don't even want a CTF. They want to lock things down in the Search and Destroy game mode, where it looks like off the break, currently a 2v2 situation for Cinder and General trying to escape out of it. Cinder able to drop one, and now just like that, Envader, a bar in hand. That's just about all he's got to go with, as we'll drop shortly just inside of that statue through mid-U. So with that in mind, we kind of discussed this map. Both bomb sites can be used. I'm fully expecting to see quite a few smokes get rocked, whether it's through kind of that mid-statue side or even toward that A bomb site to kind of try to limit the vision coming from cabin. And it looks like we didn't see a smoke actually get tossed onto B directly, which isn't very common. However, this smoke, very, very useful. But notice the amount of kind of resources that the guys actually from Enigma6 have on the B bomb site as 3 go down quick. aBezy, I believe, finding all of those. You know, Johnny, the last one alive, wondering what just happened to my teammates. And I was it, was that aBezy who actually finds the ace in this round? Does he find the final kill? Yes! All 4 found for aBezy. This man is a search and destroy monster. Did not want to face off against him. It looks like his emblem in the top right looks like a monster too. I'm not exactly sure what that was. That's kind of scary. I'm not going to lie. But still, though, that smoke kind of off the break, that's a very common one coming in from GGEA Blue. But it was the side of Enigma6 who holds a lot of positions toward that kind of top side B-Dom area. So they're not affected by that smoke whatsoever. It's almost like they were expecting it totally. And the guys from GGEA Blue, totally get caught off guard. Envader not watching fully inside a bunker. aBezy is there. 5 spree now for him. 2v2 situation. Granted, while having the objective in your hand at this point isn't the most fun, it also can work out in your favor from time to time. And I don't believe aBezy actually spotted Stamino rushing inside of cabin. Based on where he looked, you'd like to imagine that he had no idea that gunfight was happening. And now Diabolic finding himself in a 1v2. It would be huge for him to find this for the overall landscape of this series. Trying to silence and diminish any confidence, any positives the boys from GGEA Blue can try and get. Finds one off the break. Drops onto Stamino. 1v1. Spots SupremeAgility and goes for the nade above. Trying to be aware on the bomb site and playing the timeout well. Sees Supreme, but how does he go for the engagement? Where does he challenge? Who finds the gunfight? And it looks like it will be Diabolic. A big 1v2 holding down the B bomb site all by himself. A beautiful nade that kind of gets tossed over the bomb site to just try to limit as much time as possible. To try to get that player off the bomb and try to get some hit markers, maybe try to go for the re-challenge. But the nade doesn't even need to come into play. It's all about the slang for this man as a 1v2. Unbelievable play coming in from Diabolic. Of course, the ace from aBezy prior. The early headshot coming in for the first blood. A second one found for Diabolic. However, Stamino trying to pick up the pieces. Drops one, but it's now Johnny. Left all by himself. 1v2. Granted, the enemy has done it. Why not me? Johnny Tsunami trying to take down this wave of confidence that the guys from Enigma6 have got to have at this point. Winning 3 rounds in a row along with the map #1 victory. However, Johnny does not check the right corner and will end up falling to who else than General, right? The main kind of assault rifle player that he's been matching up with throughout this entire series. And it's 4 rounds up and 4 rounds down right now. If you're GGEA Blue, and quite frankly, if you're Stamino at this point, you're saying, guys, like, come on. Where are you guys at? Where is everyone? I need some help here. But he peeks his head out and he ends up dropping. So Stamino, the strongest player for the team, has already taken an early exit in this round. Is a 4th first blood. 4 out of the 5 first bloods, all coming the way of E6. That's no surprise whatsoever based on the scoreline right now. And being an offense, you really can't afford to get peaked like that. And probably what Stamino was trying to do in that situation, of course, he's trying to feel aggressive. He's trying to change the overall landscape of this run, catch the enemy off guard. He probably wasn't expecting to have someone kind of staring at that position as aBezy takes the head off Envader. Was probably thinking that a push toward the A-bomb site is present, but SupremeAgility does get dropped, and just like that, Johnny does as well. 5 rounds in a row, and the guys from an E6 are rolling. They're having a blast right now. They're having no problem with this whatsoever, as it's been easy pickings up into this point. And aBezy currently finding himself at 9-3, having a phenomenal game, whether it's been with the PPSH or the sniper rifle. This man has done it all. Trying to find his 3rd first blood. in the final round of this match. And it looks like General does take the title of finding first blood. Smoke gets tossed out. Enemy's blind, but Stamino does drop 2 forward anyway. And Stamino literally has the second most amount of kills despite not having any rounds in this match. He's got 7 kills. And aBezy's the only man who's leading him in this lobby. Playing great. Got the teammates in the backpack right now. Johnny drops Cinder, and now just like that, having to do it all is Jordan. What can he do here? He's able to drop 1. A 1v1 engagement. Is this a hot 6-0? And yes, it will be exactly that. I thought for a moment that Stamino could stay alive, but General plays it well. Finds, I believe, at least a hat trick in this round, the first and the last. Is the last ever more important? Is that will do it here for tonight's tournament for the finals. A hot 6-0 in the search and destroy. And I was very curious, what would be the result coming from the U.S. national circuit now into, this battle here, of course, in our match for tonight in our 300 minimum 44 variant. As I think this scoreline kind of says it all. Of course, like 6 rounds in a row, you don't really see too much come of it. I know kind of the only really thing that we can kind of bring up. I was kind of taking a few notes from round to round. I mean, I feel like in every, all 6 of these rounds, there was kind of a story to tell that really kind of happened throughout a lot of these. In round number 1, we talked about the early kind of offensive play coming in from GGEA. The kind of ability to toss those smokes off the start I thought was good, but what I really like from Enigma6 is that they were ready to counter that like immediately. Like they knew exactly what was happening from the very beginning rounds, or one of the very beginning rounds. I'm not sure if it's round 1 or round 2, but still, like they were off the break, like just knowing exactly what the kind of guys from GGEA Blue, the strategies that were kind of tossed out. The smoke kind of gets tossed through kind of that front side tank area through mid. They are fully aware. They actually send 3 players inside of B-Dom because they're ready to kind of have those pre-games ready for the guys coming in through you. So that's what I really like from Enigma6. They were very quick to adapt. They knew exactly what was kind of taking place. We talk about aBezy's quick ace that obviously comes forward, the 1v2 from Diabolic, the big 1v1 from General. I mean, just overall clutch plays along with the great knowledge that comes in from the guys on Enigma6. I mean, a 6-0, I mean, this was just a very well-executed search and destroy game, whether it was the ability of having numbers to even not having numbers. I mean, aBezy finishes off 9-4, General finishes off 6-1, Cinder finishes off 6-3. And that's just kind of the overall story of this game, is aBezy in general, kind of a 2-man wrecking crew throughout this search and destroy, along with this entire series. As General played a very fantastic kind of overall match, or very fantastic finals when it came down to the Hardpoint, as well as in search and destroy. And really, I'm not sure if it was just a lack of confidence or if it's just the guys from GGEA Blue kind of getting caught off guard. But when we talk about the Hardpoint, I mean, it was close for the longest time. I was looking at this and I was like, okay, this one has the ability to go all the way. I'm kind of already getting in my mind, okay, let's talk about the rotations. Like, how kind of important is that, as we go and pull up the box score really quickly. But this was just a major kind of portion of the series, was take a look at Barrels and take a look at Crane. I mean, these 2 Hardpoints are back-to-back, and there was just dominance that was shown for E6 on these 2 hills. There has to be like a certain moment that unfortunately I'm not able to kind of point out exactly, but there has to be a certain moment on those kind of backside of those rotations where it was someone who just wasn't watching a lane for GGEA Blue or Enigma6 who just kind of caught out the enemy, who was able to kind of get behind the enemy lines, hold a majority on one end of the map, and then make the rotation to hold a majority on the other side of the map. And that's just kind of the overall scape of when it comes into a Hardpoint game, is rotations and locking down a majority of the Hardpoint time. And they were obviously able to do it on probably the most difficult rotation of the map in general, is from one side to the other. So you obviously got to give massive credit to the guys on Enigma6. Of course, congratulations to them for winning tonight's tournament. Of course, GG's to aBezy, General, Diabolic, and Cinder. One thing that I'm really glad about when it comes down to the current Enigma6 lineup is that, while I was kind of a little bit interested when they picked up Diabolic and Cinder, just because of their, history throughout Infinite Warfare wasn't great by any means. We talk about their success throughout Black Ops 3, being in the Pro League, a little bit of their run on DT, then on to Renegades and whatnot, kind of playing with like guys like Chino, Happy, etc. Even Killa from time to time. They had some good runs. I think they ended up having a great performance at like Season 2 playoffs or something like that. One of the playoffs for the Black Ops 3 season as well. And I was a little bit like kind of sketchy about this pickup, but I think they're actually going to fit the team fairly well. Like I said, they finish in the 4th position in the U.S. National Circuit, so they are able to kind of grab that spot to have an opportunity to kind of make the play through relegation and whatnot, try to get into the GPL. But what I like about this team is the kind of stability that comes along with it, because when you play with guys like Diabolic and Cinder, kind of Cinder is usually the guy to kind of play like a role, essentially. Like he's a guy that you really want to play with. Diabolic is as well, but Diabolic can kind of bring that slang. I mean, there was a time in Black Ops 3, not trying to go off on a story, but I always think of this storyline. There was a moment in Black Ops 3 where Diabolic was potentially going to get picked up by Team Envious, right? That was in Black Ops 3. It was kind of toward one of the endings when I think it was like Aches and TP were on Envy at the time. They were kind of getting kicked off the roster, and Diabolic was potentially kind of a guy who they were like a prospect who they were thinking about picking him up. It ends up not going that way, and they end up taking aBezy and John in the overall scheme of things. That team goes on to win champs that year. Like, what would have happened if aBezy never would have lost on Team Liquid at UMG South Carolina? Like, aBezy would have never had that opportunity. Diabolic could have potentially been on Team Envious. Like, would he be a world champ? Like, there's a lot of storylines that kind of happen, but generally we're kind of taking a look at both their careers and saying, what really happened? And I think this is their opportunity on a group like Enigma6 to really make a name for themselves. Getting in the league would obviously be a big kind of storyline for this lineup. But these guys take a lot of kind of history. They have a lot of experience when it comes down to not just, jetpack games, not just, hardpoints and CTFs, but just boots on the ground titles in general. Like Call of Duty knowledge is exactly what they possess. And they're great guys to kind of get on and play with. They're positives, kind of players that you want to kind of have on your lineup. And, for Enigma6, it's been a very shaky year for them up until this point, kind of having constant roster changes, kind of having a new lineup every single tournament. I think this roster can be long-lasting. It's going to be difficult to kind of have that consistency, but once they find it, if they can kind of catch a bane where things just rock and things just go, they can be a scary team. I think it's fair to say. They can be, a very kind of high-level team who could take down some Titans from time to time.